Welcome to The Lost Tactician, where the forgotten chapters of human endurance meet the unforgiving reality of survival. Picture this: darkness blankets a North African desert, enemy patrols prowl nearby, and a single spark could mean death. Yet somewhere in that vast expanse of sand and shadow, soldiers are preparing hot meals with no flame in sight, no plume of smoke betraying their position. This wasn't magic. This was the sand oven, a masterpiece of wartime ingenuity that turned the desert itself into a kitchen and honestly redefined what it meant to survive when everything depended on staying invisible. On the front lines of World War II, hunger wasn't just uncomfortable, it was tactical suicide. Soldiers needed calories, warmth, and the psychological anchor of a hot meal to function under relentless stress. But traditional cooking methods created catastrophic problems. Open flames painted targets in the darkness that enemy artillery could zero in on within minutes. Smoke columns announced positions to reconnaissance aircraft circling overhead. Fuel, whether wood or kerosene, was scarce and precious in desert theaters where every supply convoy risked ambush. The equation was brutally simple. Cook with fire and potentially die, or go without hot food and watch morale and physical capability deteriorate. Neither option was acceptable. Cold rations, while nutritionally adequate, offered nothing for the soul. Tinned corned beef eaten straight from the can in freezing desert nights, hard biscuits that required soaking just to chew, these weren't meals. They were reminders of how far from home a soldier had travelled. The British Eighth Army in North Africa, the American forces island-hopping across the Pacific, Australian troops in the harsh outback conditions of training and deployment, all faced this same existential challenge. How do you feed an army when feeding them might kill them? The answer wouldn't come from supply officers or military engineers. It would come from the soldiers themselves, scavenging knowledge from the very environment trying to destroy them. The sand oven operated on elegant simplicity disguised as common sense. Sand possesses remarkable thermal mass, meaning that once heated, it holds that energy for hours, releasing it slowly and steadily like a coal that never dims. The principle mirrors thermal cooking methods used by civilians throughout history, from the haybox cookers of European households to the earth ovens of indigenous cultures worldwide. But in the context of modern warfare, it became something revolutionary: invisible sustenance. The construction process required nothing more than what soldiers could find or carry. A pit dug approximately 2 feet deep and wide enough to accommodate a cooking vessel served as the foundation. In areas where digging was impractical, large metal containers scavenged from supply operations, empty fuel drums, ammunition boxes, anything with volume and durability, substituted perfectly. The fire itself was kept small and efficient, built during twilight hours when smoke might blend with atmospheric haze, or in positions where natural terrain features provided concealment. As the flames licked upward, soldiers would shovel sand into and around the heat source, creating layers of mineral insulation. The sand closest to the fire reached temperatures exceeding 300 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to sear flesh, but perfect for slow-cooking protein and starches. The critical moment came next. Extinguishing the fire completely, water poured carefully over remaining embers, or simply smothering the flames with additional sand, eliminated any trace of combustion. With the flames gone, a cooking pot, typically a standard-issue mess tin or larger communal dixie containing their precious rations, would be nestled deep into the scalding sand. Soldiers would pack additional hot sand around the vessel's sides and top, creating a complete thermal envelope. The desert became an oven, the sand its insulating walls, and the food cooked through sustained radiant heat rather than direct flame. No smoke, no glow, no betrayal. The physics were perfect. Sand's low thermal conductivity meant heat escaped slowly, while its high specific heat capacity meant it stored tremendous energy. A properly constructed sand oven could maintain cooking temperatures for 6 to 8 hours, more than enough time to transform cold rations into something approaching civilization. The sand oven exemplifies a broader truth about wartime survival necessity, obliterates the word impossible. This wasn't issued equipment or official doctrine catalogued in field manuals and taught at training camps. It was frontline wisdom born from desperation and shared through whispered conversations, demonstrations during lulls in fighting, and the informal networks that connect soldiers facing common hardships. Knowledge spread laterally from unit to unit and, sometimes even across different national forces as British, American, Australian and other Allied troops exchanged survival techniques during joint operations. This pattern of grassroots innovation, honestly, characterized the entire war effort in ways that official histories often overlook. Soldiers developed camouflage techniques by observing local wildlife, created improvised water filters using sand and charcoal, and designed portable shelters from parachute silk and salvaged materials. The sand oven sits among these inventions as proof that human ingenuity doesn't require laboratories, funding, or institutional support. It really just requires the fundamental drive to survive and the intellectual courage to experiment when conventional solutions fail. The principles underlying the sand oven have influenced modern sustainable cooking technologies. So thermal retention cookers, which are really popular among off-grid enthusiasts and folks preparing for emergencies, work on the same basic physics. You heat your food up to the right temperature, and then instead of keeping the heat on, you just maintain that warmth using insulation. No need for continued energy input. And, in developing regions, solar cookers make use of concentrated heat and insulated chambers to achieve pretty much the same results. Even today's slow cookers and thermal cooking bags, they owe a conceptual debt to methods like the old sand oven. It's kind of remarkable, really. Solutions that were born out of wartime desperation often carry wisdom that goes way beyond their original context. Those soldiers, whose names history almost never recorded, whose clever innovations never earned patents or widespread recognition, actually left us something far more valuable than victory records or strategic analyses. They gave us proof that, honestly, human ingenuity doesn't need abundance to flourish. In fact, it's often constraint that leads to more elegant solutions than you'd ever find in the most resource-rich environments. The sand oven required no special materials, no supply chains, no technological sophistication. It required only observation, understanding of basic physics, and the willingness to see potential in the most hostile environment imaginable. This legacy matters beyond historical curiosity. In our modern world of convenience and instant gratification, we've lost connection with the resourcefulness that defined previous generations. We've forgotten that solutions don't always require purchasing something new or waiting for someone else to solve our problems. The soldiers who developed the sand oven remind us that adaptation, observation, and creative problem-solving remain humanity's most powerful survival tools. Whether facing personal hardship, natural disasters, or simply seeking more sustainable ways to live, the principles remain constant. Understand your environment, leverage available resources, and never accept that a problem is unsolvable simply because the obvious solution is unavailable. If stories like this, where survival met ingenuity in history's harshest moments, resonate with you, then like, share, and subscribe to The Lost Tactician. Every week, we uncover the tactics, techniques, an untold resilience that defined human endurance when the world burned. We explore the innovations that never made headlines, the survival methods that saved countless lives, and the lessons from history that remain urgently relevant today. Because history isn't just dates and battles, it's the sand oven that saved lives without anyone ever seeing the fire. It's the proof that when everything is taken away, human ingenuity remains. And that knowledge might just be the most important survival tool of all.